that I was talking with Friday night with a friend who is an instructor at Terra Community College, and his big thing was the scams and the unethical things that are going to be done with AI, already being done with AI. And I was telling him how I was going to be doing a presentation to a senior citizen group on Saturday talking about AI, and telling him what I had used QuestionWell and made a little quiz. I selected 5 of the questions, the multiple choice that were produced by questionwell.org. And the book was called Peggy's Pokey. And the one question which it totally got wrong was, what kind of animal is, or what kind of pet is Pokey? And the correct answer, they said, was Pokey is a pony. Well, in this story, Pokey is a lamb. It's a 1940 story, a book I bought at a garage sale that was from 1940, which I thought might resonate with these people more than, and I didn't realize it. He goes, oh, well, Pokey is a pony and Gumby. And I go,
Oh,
oh,
that's right. I was like, where are they getting
Oh,
yeah. I mean,
yes.
the rest of the questions were
Oh, that's
okay. They were
yeah.
very general, they were, but obviously that book is not online anywhere that AI could access. So it just,
That's
yeah.
no, that's fascinating because we the three of us had been discussing another example where AI took information from different places and got it wrong. The AI news article that was generated about the
About
man
the
who had
Turkish,
fallen down in a cave
yes,
in Turkey. Notice what I just said. A man who had fallen down and was injured in a cave in Turkey. He didn't fall down. One of the initial news reports was that he fell ill. Well, AI took fell ill together with in a cave and had him falling down and being injured. So we really do have to be careful. It doesn't understand context very well, at least not right now.
exactly. And I think that's what we do stress to teachers when we do trainings, is that just because it comes from AI, it doesn't mean it's true or it's accurate. You need to do your own research. And I think that's what that teachers can stress to their students, and use it as a learning situation where they can check the validity. Yes, you can do your paper and questions on AI. There's nothing that I can keep you from doing that, but your answers may not be correct. You need to edit them. You need to check for validity. And so I think it can be a learning situation.
So here's a shameless promotion of NWOET. Go online, look for the October issue of our scanner. And we also had a few things in our summer issue. But, you're going to see recommendations on policies for AI. You're going to see some of the classes that we at NWOET can offer you on AI, such things as tools that students are already using. And Judy or Tani, do you want to talk for just a minute about some of the tools that AI is already using, and maybe in a future episode of our vlog here,
Well, I think
really...
the big thing is I've been teaching some of these things for years, like Wolfram Alpha, that you put in a math problem and it automatically gives you the answer. And actually, I used it to help me remember how to do certain math problems for my GRE test, to help me study. And basically, it does even show you the steps, like how to calculate
step by
that
step,
math
how
problem,
do you
like
do
step by
long
step.
division or much more complicated equations as well.
And then that other one that I recently was messing with because of you and I were chatting, Roger, it was the Photomath. I think that's crazy. When I showed it to teachers, like, you just take a picture of the math problem, it gives you the answer. Of course, you have to pay for the membership to get the steps. It's so, like, if I'm changing my instruction and having the students explain in some way, how did you get that answer, to make sure that they're not getting AI generated or cheating on their questions, and how are they checking for AI's like, you know, how, if it's correct or not, or if it's giving you a wrong response, a different response than what it's supposed to. But yeah, I mean, some of these things have been out there for years that will auto-generate. Grammarly Go is, it actually kind of annoys me when it pops up now that I've installed it, because it covers up things that I want to do. But basically I can
Yeah,
hit,
it gets like forces itself. It says,
Yeah.
use me
Yeah,
all the time.
exactly.
I've had
So
the same experience.
now I don't mind Grammarly regular where it comes up and it's like, are you sure this is the tone you want? Like it'll tell me if it's friendly, if it's professional. I like that kind of stuff because I'm already typing something and then it pops up and says, are you sure that this is the way you want to phrase this sentence or whatnot? And but the Grammarly Go pops up on everything. Like even if I'm typing something on Facebook, or if I'm typing something on Quality Matters, or, you know, so it'll pop up and it's in my way. Whereas I, you know, and I could even just like for the Quality Matters, I'm writing a review for someone's online course and I'm saying, you need to have more depth or breadth, or, you know, there needs to be more rigor in this course. I can say, explain to them that there's no rigor because they don't have enough worksheets. Well, then it'll generate for me and I'll say, make it professional. And then it'll bloop, and then it'll just put it right wherever my cursor was. So yeah, those are things that students might already be using. And we actually had a conversation about this weekend. We're taking an online class and we talked about the simplicity of using AI to generate or start a response. Like I like to use, like for instance, I just got stuck on something before we joined our vlog, and I couldn't think of another way of saying in the loop, or actually in the know-how. It was in the know-how. And I was like, I don't want to say in the know-how. And then I was like, tell me other phrases for in the know-how. And then I said, make them more creative and funny. And then it generated those. And then I said, make them less funny and have them about AI. And then, you know, so it just kept generating these things where I'm using it not to rewrite myself, but to help me think of things.
Yeah.
Whereas
To help with brainstorming and creativity suggestions. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you would put in there, revise this, and this was actually a specific thing, I have to write an article, a one-page article about this book or this chapter, and then put the chapter in, you know, write it for me. Okay. So write it. And then I have to figure out how to make it mine. That's too much work for me. I don't like taking someone else's work and rewriting it. The thing that helped us better, I didn't do this and I was helping. But then the thing that helped most with it was I have to write a paper on this article, boom, and then say, give me an outline of how I should structure my paper. And that's better for me where I'm like, oh, okay, now it started the outline for me. I can start with an introductory paragraph about the main points that I'm going to talk about, whatever. And I think that's better as opposed to trying to fix it to make it more mine, as opposed to, and I think that's a lot of work. And I hope that's what people find out, that it's less work to write your own and just get ideas and brainstorm from the AI component. But yeah, I kind of went off track there. ChatGPT tends to be my go-to. I think students might already be using that, but a lot of these things have already been out there for years, because you're asking something to, like in one of the classes I taught, the teacher said, what I do is I put in, as music teacher, I put in what I want, and then it generates this sight reading piece that the kids have to do. And he goes, I'm guessing it's AI. I said, yeah, I don't think anyone's sitting there and writing the notes for you. He goes, sometimes the melodies that it makes for my sight reading, I'll say that I want 30-second in 4/4 count in D major or something like that. And then it'll create the sight reading thing. for saxophone, and then he'll print it out and then he'll give it to his saxophone kids and they have to sight read. He goes, sometimes it doesn't sound good because it's making them sight read kind of weird things. It's not necessarily a song, but it's making the kids practice certain notes in that specific thing that he wanted. And I laugh because I'm like, yeah, it has to be AI generated, because any of this stuff, it's not like Google, someone sitting there, okay, what do they want? And then typing it. It's digging through all these algorithms and data and information, and then it's trying to find what it wants. And I experienced today, I know I'm jabbering a little bit here. I experienced today the thing you guys have been talking about, like instant response, or you have to wait longer. I asked it, what did I ask it? Oh, I know. I said, give me a brief description of what Google search is. And it sat there and it spun and it spun and it spun. It didn't know how to, well, first of all, at the first one, it went bloop. And I said, make that shorter. And it took probably 2 minutes to make it shorter, because it was way long about Google search. It didn't know what to do. And then I said, well, make it a little bit longer. And then it made it twice as long as what the first one was. And I was like, oh, forget it. So
one of my go-to tips is tell it you want it 200 words. And that's what I almost always do now, is whatever I'm doing, I say, give me an example of the best and most frequently used AI tools for K through 12 students in 200 words or less. And by adding that, because if you don't add that, if you do not add that limitation, it can generate, literally thousands of words potentially.
Exactly. I learned that right on, is that to, use a word limitation. And give them an example. Like the other day, I did an opening prayer and a closing prayer. And my friend that I was talking to Friday night says, the good thing you put in there Christian. He goes, because can you imagine what you might get if you hadn't put in what religion, or, and I said, oh, I didn't even think of that, but I knew our group was Singles Christian Senior Citizen Group. And so the closing prayer was half as long, and they just were, I says, were you ever asked to give a prayer and you just didn't know what to say? Hey, Chat GPT is your answer. It was very interesting, though. I had a handout with the websites that I was mentioning and the quiz, obviously, on that book. And at least 4 or 5 of the 12 people attending did not take it with them. And I thought, they just, too much for them probably to even comprehend why I would even want to use something like AI, when I tried to explain all the different ways that they have been using AI without realizing it over the years, that this is not something brand new. It's just that term is pretty new in the last couple of years.
Well, and how extensive, how much it's being used, as opposed to being a little, side alley. It's now the main thoroughfare. I see we're almost out of time, so I want to throw something out here for consideration and discussion. We've talked about a lot of different things today, and you may well be able to see entire vlogs devoted to these coming up. But some of the things we've mentioned is how rapidly AI is changing, and what we say today and what you see today might be different, not just 2 or 3 years from now, but a few weeks from now. If you're just getting into AI, my suggestion would be get in there, use either Chat GPT or Microsoft Edge browser, and just ask it the same questions that you've been Googling, and see how the differences between asking a question where you just type in and do a straight Google compared to a question where your response is being augmented by AI. And that's a great way to start. Other things to take a look at: what tools are teachers already using? There's 3 or 4 common things, and I know Judy talks about that, does a workshop on that. What tools are students and already using? And Tanya has a series of things that she really gets into and was illustrating some of these. Just kind of an overview of what's this AI all about and where is it going. Once you know a little bit about AI, something you're going to want to dig into deeper was Tanya was giving the example of math and whether it's Wolfram Alpha or Photomath or some of the other tools that are out there. The difference between the paid and the free versions, and that your students have access to those paid versions if they're willing to pay the money. So for example, on Photomath specifically, one of the things the paid version does is it gives you access to math textbooks. So with the paid version, you tell it what math textbook you're using, and Photomath already has access to the student and probably the teacher edition of that textbook. So how we modify our lessons to keep kids engaged and to make sure they're learning, with the students as well as us as teachers having all these new tools, it's definitely going to continue to evolve in the future. Stay with us. We're going to be giving you, up to date, hopefully very practical information, everything from how do you write a question or a prompt to the computer, to difference between paid, and a lot more in weeks to come.
Yes, and as always, we will have all the resources that Roger just mentioned on the link on your screen right there. And of course, it'll be at the end of the video with our contact information. Feel free to reach out to any of us with your technology integration questions. All right, thank you.
So.